The video you are about to watch is the final recording of Paul and I before it was revealed that Tactical Marines would be legendary proxies and that Centurions were going to be moved to Legends. This is very much a photograph taken 2 hours before disaster. I had been playing tactical squads for decades, and Paul almost exclusively played Centurions at tournaments where Legends are not allowed. We are not able to comment on these specific changes at this time, and for the comments of this video, would like some privacy to deal with the tragedy in our own way. My Ko-fi is open, link in the description, if you are able to provide any money for the Tactical Squad Retirement Fund. Paul and I had discussed the possibility of Centurions in Legends before, and that video is linked at the end and in the description. I hope you enjoy our video on how to get started into playing 40k.
I don't know why I was being put on the spot to do an intro, and my first thought was just to scream into the microphone, which doesn't seem to be the right thing to do. But that's how we learn how to do things, is by trying and failing.
Good job, Paul.
That is the best segue that you're going to get out of me.
Welcome to Blood Balled! Today, we're talking about the Combat Patrol, which has now been released with 11th edition, but only on the app. You cannot get the rules anywhere else. If you buy the Combat Patrol book, that has 0 rules. And like 90% is a brochure for products you can buy from Games Workshop, which is weird and silly and an expense you don't need. So, with a new edition of 40k and a new Combat Patrol, is Combat Patrol a good way to learn 11th edition of Warhammer 40,000?
Yes.
You're saying yes.
Do you want to know why I say yes? Because
no, you can just leave it like that.
No, yes, all right. That was a real short episode. Just yes.
Good job.
No.
Good job.
Right. So I learnt in 9th edition, and I learned by playing a small game against my friend, and we kind of did. I don't think we even used like stratagems or enhancements or anything. We just did like a very simple mission, because this all comes down to what do we say when we're saying we're learning how to play 40k? Do you need to know how the dice work, what the stats do, and how to move, and how to actually just interact with the game? In which case, Combat Patrol, probably fine, because it gives you a small number of points.
Yep.
You could probably even ignore like any of the mission stuff to start with. Just go, okay, here's a Combat Patrol. It gives you some models. You can get the core rules on the app, and you just go, here's the basic stuff. Go learn how to actually like interact with the game, with the dice and with the models. If is a good way of learning how to play 40k in the next level, probably not. It doesn't really have that stepping stone like something like Spearhead, where Spearhead has like half of the rules basically just not in there. Like none of the magic stuff is in there. But then 11th edition has, with the Combat Patrol, is cut down, but there's also still all the complexity around stuff like hidden, which realistically you don't need to care about hidden in your first game. Like,
especially when the boards are like 30 inches by, is it 44?
It's like small, right? It's like 30 by 44 or something like that.
Yeah, which is good. You can actually fit that on a normal person's table, like a kitchen table.
Yeah, so I think it's more of a case of like, for getting yourself into the game and learning the basic core rules, Combat Patrol is fine, because it basically is just a structure of an army, so you don't have to do the army building stuff. You can just get into the game and start learning. Does it do much beyond that? Not particularly, but you know, it's the intro, right?
But you're saying you learned by playing a small game, not by playing the Combat Patrol system, which a version of which did exist in 9th edition.
Exactly. Combat Patrol didn't exist in 9th. I think if it did, it would basically be what we did, because I bought a Combat Patrol of Drukhari, and I played with that Combat Patrol of Drukhari. So
right, so it was like 500 points-ish. Yeah.
The boxes were called Combat Patrol, but there wasn't a game mode called Combat Patrol.
Right. That's right, because they introduced that in 10th edition.
Yes. So yeah, I had my, my Ravager, my Raider, my Incubi, my Cabalites, my Archon, and we played a very simple game where it was like, okay, here's how you move, here's how the dice work, here's how shooting works. Like, in 11th edition, you don't really need to care about, like, how does terrain work, how does, hidden work, until you've actually played the game and understand how to move the models and actually interact with the actual game. And at that point, when you're starting to learn hidden stuff, that's when the complexity starts to add. And I think realistically, if you want to learn how to play a game like 40k, you need to kind of layer that stuff on, and there's no really good system for that. And I'm not saying that Spearhead is the best system, because it literally it's like just cuts the book in half. It's
kind of different as well, because Age of Sigmar is surviving because of Spearhead. My local area, almost everyone that plays fantasy has moved to other systems like Moonstone, or they play Ninth Age or Old World for their big battles, but they'll play Spearhead but not Age of Sigmar. So Age of Sigmar Spearhead works as its own thing, separate to learning the game.
Yeah, because the other part with this is learning the game in terms of, are you two new people learning the game, or are you one new person and one person teaching you the game?
Ooh,
because
yeah.
There's that, and are you new to tabletop games entirely, or do you have some wargame experience? Those are two other things that factor into
Then you'll know
this.
what dice are and how you move around the board, basic things like that.
Yeah. I tried teaching a friend of mine who plays Middle-earth. Middle-earth strategy battlegrounds. Mezbug. And I've learned a bit of Mezbug, and it's easier to get into the game when you have another game you know, because you can kind of translate it, especially within like the Games Workshop sphere.
Got a point of reference.
You've got a point of reference.
Paul,
go,
that means you can learn second edition if you know Middle-earth, because it's just one stepping stone from there.
Exactly. But the funny thing that I took for granted coming from 40k and teaching a Mezbug player is that I didn't tell him the game was only 5 rounds long. And that was like, obviously, because in Mezbug,
like 13 to 14, yeah.
So the game could be any number of, the reason for a game ending could be different. It could be like one person's been like halved, and then you roll or something. So he wasn't aware that the whole game was only 5 rounds, so he was like not pushing and planning around that. But we still only used like 500 points, so I was just kind of just teaching him the basic stuff. If you're someone who has a bit of wargaming experience, then Combat Patrol straight up, where you kind of understand and you can kind of translate that into 40k, you're probably fine to then add like the stratagem and the bit of mission stuff. If you're someone who's being taught how to play by someone else, then you probably have a bit of understanding from them, and that can help in that.
Yeah,
in that
you
regard.
will have terrain. There are maps, Combat Patrol maps in there, so it's like, here's terrain. So you're expected to use terrain rules even if you don't do hidden.
Yeah, but if you are two brand new people who have never played a war game before, Combat Patrol, because they don't have like you say, they don't have like a ruling book that comes with the Combat Patrol stuff.
Yeah,
you're kind of relating to the core rules. I think that's where it's going to fall apart, because I think you kind of need what is essentially a straight up tutorial on how to like slowly introduce someone to the game. Like, I do wonder how rare that is for someone to,
that their frame of reference is Pokemon cards.
Yeah, to get into 40k without anyone else around them either knowing about it or kind of having any sort of experience. Like, is there people out there who are playing 40k for the first time, like them and their bro?
Well, it might be them and their child. Could be that.
It could be. But I think if you're them and their child, then I think as the adults, you're probably going to do the research. And I think that's the other thing with this, is obviously you don't have to go in there blind because of the huge amount of resource on the internet.
Yeah.
Where maybe the idea is, because there is all of that resource, you can very easily kind of get the bare basics down to then get into the Combat Patrol game. But it will be a bit of a learning curve. I mean, think about it this way as well. How many times do people who have played the game for a long time still make loads of rules mistakes? It's such a complicated game that you're not going to get it right the first time.
Oh, yes. Very much so.
I think being as basic as possible helps. And I think in terms of like what Combat Patrol does, in terms of like getting you a basic army that you can just put on the table without having to worry about building your own, it's fine. But is it the best way to learn the game? It's okay. But again, it's more of a framework for you to start learning the game rather than the way to learn the game itself, is what I think.
There's no detachments, there's no dispositions to determine your mission. So there's none of that stuff to explain. You still have to set up area terrain, but you skip all of the choose from multiple detachments, your disposition. You don't need to know what dispositions are. The
only kind of enhancements you need to worry about is like one choice.
Yep.
And you just pick one. You just go, if you're brand new, you're not going to look at those and go, well, which one would be better? You just go, I'll pick one and just see what it does and see if I can remember it and see how it affects the game. At that point, you're not going to be like, okay, which one of these is the too strong? I need to do the research now, because if you don't know how the game works, then it's not going to help you.
It's probably difficult to try and play with the app because the app's the only place that the rules are. It's a bad place to put the rules. People still don't know what the combat, like, people generally don't know that combat patrol, each combat patrol has their own mission, their primary mission. You don't use force dispositions for any of that. You go into the war journal, you click start combat patrol game, then you pick your combat patrol, then is the first time you see your primary mission. I don't think there's any secondary missions, but that's...
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
It's difficult for people generally to know where it is. And then it's not as good... I'm going to say it's not good for learning 40k, not just for that, but you also have some really valuable stratagems denied to you, ones that young players and new players will use a lot. You're not allowed to do explosives. Some people have missed that.
That's fine.
Because
that's absolutely fine.
Somewhere in the app. Oh, yeah, but those are the ones where you don't learn your faction ones. You'll want to learn the core stratagems first.
This is kind of what I was going back to and saying, right? Where when you're playing Combat Patrol, if this is like your first game, do you need to worry about grenades? Not really, because you're still learning the game. Like this is what when I first started the game, I did not learn Overwatch or grenades. Which were things in life. Also say when I've been teaching people basic stuff, I've skipped out stratagems and command points entirely. Yeah, because I don't think they're really... I think once you've learned Combat Patrol, like, you're then kind of moving on to essentially 500-point games with some extra stuff. That's what I think Combat Patrol should have. They should have a granularity type system where you kind of go... Where it's like, is it your first game, your second game, your third game, where it like slowly introduces more stuff? Isn't that like how they're doing it for Old World with Battle March, where it isn't the models in a box? You get to make your own 500 points-ish or 700 points army, and then you play it against another battle march of the same points value, but with scaled-down scenarios. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same rules. Yeah, but then if you have to build your own list, that adds the list-building complexity. Which, again, if you're someone brand new, you will have no idea how that works. That's like one of the most complicated parts of the game. Okay, and so... if you're... And so that is the part I think Combat Patrol and Spearhead both do very well, is you get the box, and therefore you know what your army is going into this thing. So then Battle March will at least be... It's a fun game mode, but it's like... Combat Patrol is your sort of learn 40k. Age of Sigmar, Spearhead can be its own thing. Battle March is very much its own thing, and you'll have to learn a lot more of Old World to get going. Yeah. But making your own army lists is something I really like about Battle March. A way to get interested in a game is to make an army list and see if you can make a list with all the cool models you want so that you are very much invested in the game. Especially one like Old World that doesn't change every 3 months or every month. If you want all skinks, or you want an army of all Bretonian peasants, or only handgunners, only vampires, can you make an only Clan Molder army? You can kind of do that in Battle March without having to worry about rounding out your army to be normal and playable at 2,000 points. Yeah. That may be a reason to like that game mode, but I think that initial excitement to make your own army is what is better than Combat Patrol or Spearhead, where you get given someone else's army and told to play it, essentially. I've just started on the app, I've started a game of Combat Patrol, just because I haven't actually seen this, so it'd be quite nice to actually go through it. So I've picked, I think it was one of the Drukhari ones versus an Orc one. There will only be one Drukhari one, I think, because lots of the Combat Patrols, older Combat Patrols, are gone. They were there in 10th edition, but not anymore. So there's no Deathwatch Combat Patrol, there's no Harlequin Combat Patrol. They deleted quite a lot of them, which was kind of upsetting. Yeah. Second battle round onwards, end of your turn, you control your opponent's home, or you control one or more expansions. End of any battle round, an enemy was destroyed in this or the previous turn. You get some points, and it's basically the same. It is, in fact, exactly the same for... Oh, no, it's one or more objectives excluding home and your opponent's home for the Orc, so it's slightly different. So then you create the battlefield. It gives you 3 layouts, which have some interesting deployments, because there's 2 of them are like just in the corner, like corner deployments, and one of them is like a weird half-jagged thing. Let's just go with that one. Gives you the measurements. So it's got some 3 maps every time. I think you were meant to build it from... There's a starter set that gives you like half the terrain. Yeah. Roll off. The winner decides who will be attacking, who will be defender. Makes sense. And then it's just on to deployment. Winner takes the first turn. Yeah, and then it It does say about gaining command points, so I guess you do spend command points on something.
Yes, you do have your stratagems. There's 3 stratagems to be found in a different part of the app for your combat patrol. So you'll have to keep switching between playing the game and reference section, then going to the combat patrol bit, then finding your combat patrol, then looking in the stratagems bit, and there, if you also can, remember your enhancement.
Yeah. Well, I think that's also the same with how you play normally, right? It'd be nice if you could press a button and go, which stratagems do I have? But also, again, this is one of those ones where I think you'll probably have one guy have the app for the score, and one guy do the other bits.
Does it have the skull in the top right where you can switch to battle mode?
Oh yeah, actually, no, it's right in the app. Yeah, you just press a skull, command bunker, you can see all of your stuff, and you can see all of the things. So it gives you command reroll and new orders.
Right.
It does have fire overwatch and rapid ingress. It has all of them.
Has new orders, that means it's going to have secondary missions. I didn't think Combat Patrol did secondary missions.
Yeah, I don't think it does. I think it's actually just kind of showing all of the stratagems, if I'm honest.
Uh-oh, that's not good.
Explosives hardens physiology. Yeah, which ones doesn't it have? Has smoke screen, has heroic intervention. So they're all there. You have your detachment rules, you have your army rules, and then you can look at your opponent, it has the same. So it is right there. You don't have to go like into another section. You can just press the button. So it is exactly the button I wanted, which is press the button and it tells you the things. And it's split up into all of the phases. So you can go, okay, what can I do in my command phase? I can do this.
There's like 6 options. Yeah.
I can do that. And then shooting phase, agonizing onslaught. Yeah, so it's got a bit of stuff there. And obviously then you can click onto the actual, this thing that I'm looking at, a data sheet. You can tell I'm doing very well with the words.
There's quite a few data sheets are going to be very different to their mainline 40k version. The Eversaw Assassin, massively different. So learning a combat patrol unit isn't going to help you necessarily play them on the tabletop in bigger 40k.
True. But again, it's a cut down version that helps you just get onto the tabletop.
If we take it as a learn the game version rather than learn your army version, then yes. But it would be nice to be able to learn your army at the same time.
Well, here's the thing, right? It's difficult to then learn your army if you're getting such a small amount of your army. For example, that Drukhari one, right? It's all homunculus coven. That is never, even if you play Combat Patrol and learn, okay, if it was like exactly the homunculus coven army stuff, you'd be like, okay, I've now learned essentially, well, less than a third of my entire army. And this is Drukhari, which is a small army.
Good. That would be a step forwards into learning the whole army rather than, you think you know that, but actually you got that wrong. You're referencing a different version of the game, which has totally different unit rules.
I think that's fine because I think people are smart enough to go,
no, they're not.
Okay, people this is a different version. Well, if people weren't smart, they wouldn't be playing. I mean, 40k is not a simple game. And I think I think...
Better to confuse them early.
It's not even that. I think that is something that is kind of being over, like, I think people are getting a bit over, like, what's the word? I'm proving that Paul is not very smart. People are overreacting to that a bit much. I don't think it's that much of a problem. I think being able to like have the named like units to like be able to understand what each of those things does to help learn the game first. Then when you go to start making your list, you'll then be able to notice the differences. It's very small stuff. Like the Vanguard vets, for example, they can only have the Vanguard vet weapons. They can't have all the pistol stuff, but that's fine because if you then go on to make a proper list, you go, oh, I have all this access to all these pistols if I want to use them. You know, it's not the end of the world.
For the moment. Then they'll change the rules anyway. So maybe you get used to your rules being totally different 1 month to another.
Well, yeah, but I mean, again, would you rather that or just have it so, okay, these are the rules that are out now for the next 3 years. There are going to be no changes. Whatever, you know, leave it as it lies. I think we're in an age now where people are more used to things being updated more frequently.
Yes.
And honestly, I'm of the opinion that is absolutely fine.
I'm okay with it not being as frequent. I'm used to playing older games where, like 4th edition 40k, you know, like a couple of the problems, they don't get fixed, but it's okay because the rulebook you've got is still a valid rulebook. 11th edition rulebook is mostly outdated now and other stuff's on the app, which changes constantly. This was also something that came up at the Warlord Games big open day, talking about Conflict 47, where they're going to keep the main rules the same. They're not patching it, they're not updating it, they're not rebalancing the strength of weapons within it. Even though that's what some people want, many other people are like, no, this is a different kind of game. This is an older style game. We're going to keep the core rules valid for 5 years, hypothetically.
Yeah.
Rather than 5 days.
I don't know anything about Conflict 47, so I imagine it probably works fine for it. But I don't like that attitude in some places because it causes it's trying to do an older style system in a world which doesn't exist anymore. This is the problem I had with WoW Classic.
Right.
WoW Classic, when it came out, everyone was like super hyped to go back to the old ways of WoW.
And then they remembered why it was bad.
It's not even that. The problem is we're on the internet now. Molten Core was beaten in like 2 hours by people who are under level 60 because everyone knew exactly what to do. They knew exactly how to level. People were just getting mages to just grind them to level 60.
The meta is collectively known.
The meta has existed. Back when WoW was actually WoW Classic, back in vanilla WoW, you had like Thoughtbot and the few people on Thoughtbot. Maybe you had like, elitist jerks forums, but they were pretty, they were like the very top, like 0.1%. Problem is now is that information is so easy to access and everyone knows it that it raises the floor just so considerably that you can't go back to that style. I mean, maybe you can, and maybe that's what happens with something like Conflict 47, where you have that community. But as soon as you have a community that breaks into the mainstream, it's over. It's just gone. You look at something like Deadlock, the new Valve MOBA. Like, how quickly did that go from, oh, look at this fun new MOBA to, okay, everyone is now toxic to each other. You must play this way. You must know the meta. Everything sucks. Like, we're in a modern world where everything just goes so quick.
Is this like everyone needs to play Mercy? There needs to be a Mercy on every Overwatch team.
Exactly, right? Everything goes so quickly. And if it works with like Conflict 47, which it probably does, because the community isn't as
the community
big.
Is willing to be chill. There were many comments of like, am I taking too many bears, which are super tough? Yeah, probably, maybe. Other people are like, no. It's a whole mild discussion to have another time, maybe with someone else.
If someone is getting into the game with like the combat patrol, and again, maybe it's just because of my perspective of I know the internet stuff, and there are plenty of people out there who are just playing standard, in which case the changes probably they might not even know about the changes. They'll just play whatever's in their book and they'll be happy with it. Or they'll play whatever scenario they want with their whatever,
Oh, we can't let people have fun, Paul.
They can have fun. But other people might want to have fun with like the more serious stuff. It's one of those things where I think just the way that Combat Patrol is presented as a way into the game is fine. It's not the best. It gets you into the game. Yes, there's some problems. Yes, it might get confusing if you start to level up. But at that point, you're not going to go from Combat Patrol straight into making your own list at 2,000 points or even 1,000 points. It's going to take a few Combat Patrol games to understand the game.
And you've got 40K, the Warhammer community is doing the how to teach the War community trainer thing, which is starting up. Also, yes, the internet generally. That's why I'm saying I think that is a better way to learn the game than trying to find in the app this game mode.
Well, yeah. Does the because again, I haven't actually seen the Combat Patrol like starter box. Does it actually have a thing that like points you to the app anywhere?
It has a how to download the app, QR code. Don't think it says, hey, go to the app and then go to this section and this is how you can find and play Combat Patrol. Because when this book, the Combat Patrol book came out, none of this was in the app.
Did they not have the app? Like, did not have the game mode?
It was not a game mode, no. The game mode of Combat Patrol has only come in the end of July with the balance patch, after the last balance patch.
That is interesting. That is weird. I don't know why you wouldn't have Combat Patrol
from the start.
Yeah, that is weird. That is the one where I'm just like, out of all the things to not have on the app, that feels like a miss. I don't know the internals. Maybe they had it. Maybe it was bugged. Maybe they had a problem. Maybe they were just like, no one plays Combat Patrol. Maybe no one does play Combat Patrol because everyone's playing Spearhead. It's just superior.
When they released maybe they didn't know it was going to be a game mode. Hence why they released a Combat Patrol book that was just here's a list of boxes you can buy.
Maybe.
Not a Spearhead thing because people wanted it to be Spearhead, and it's not Spearhead.
I think Spearhead's great, and I think it should have been Spearhead.
Yes.
I think if they're not going to go with the Spearhead route, I think realistically, Combat Patrol should be staged. I would like to see a staged Combat Patrol where you go. Version 1 is literally just like moving around, shooting, getting used to the rules. Stage 2, you get your, couple of stratagems, and you get your missions.
That's kind of like what they used to do with the launch boxes, except the Armageddon launch box is not for new players because it doesn't teach you how to play the game in like a booklet. It just has the core rules and off you go.
Yeah, I do wonder if that's just because of the internet. I'm wondering if they're just like...
rely on the internet to teach everyone everything.
It would be interesting in the comments, or maybe in a poll, to understand how people learn the game. How many people learn the game by just on their own, they went out, they bought something, and they just sat down and read the rules? How many people went out, with a friend of theirs, split a box, and tried to learn it without any experience whatsoever? How many people learned 40k after playing a different game? And how many people learned 40k by having a friend of them introduced them to it? Because that'll be a very interesting thing to find. But again, if we do the polls, it's going to be people who watch us, which means that people are probably more invested in the hobby, so they maybe have.
There's still a lot of new people at the start of the edition. I'm finding for the moment.
All right. So in the comments, I reckon let's get that.
I can do a poll. I can do a poll still.
Yeah, I'll do a poll. You do a poll.
Yeah.
Straight up engagement bait. Tell us in the comments, how you learned. Do you play Combat Patrol? What did you have for dinner? What is your favorite number between 12 and 107? And
these are all separate comments, of course.
Prefer me or a ham sandwich? And do you prefer Christian or a cheese sandwich? And then PayPal both Christian and I £5.50.
That sounds good. One thing about the Combat Patrol is it's relatively easy to carry around in a small case. Paul,
a small case?
Can you think of a small case that people could carry around their Combat Patrol in? I was thinking cardboard box, maybe.
Oh, I will absolutely end you and your entire bloodline if you ever suggest a cardboard box game when you could have suggested the Mag Case 3.0, the brand new Mag Case from tabletopstronghold.com that's better than the Mag Case 2.0 in every single way and better than any other kind of box, including the Ark of the Covenant.
That's a big box. Big box.
Pandora's box. Open that. You
definitely superior.
Everyone. You open a Mag Case 3.0, all you get is magnets. And that's not all.
The trays are now magnetic and fix into the box magnetically. The case no longer has Velcro straps. It's got magnets.
Magnets at the doors, magnets in the walls, magnets in your family. It's magnets all the way down.
What did you have for breakfast today? It might have been magnets.
And it's cool. It comes with a mag bag. Mag bag's really nice. I've got one. When you wear it, it does make you look like a year 7 going to their first day of school because it's quite large. Unless you get the small one for a Combat Patrol, in which case it has like a shoulder strap. Like across the body.
Cool, you can look like an 11-year-old with a Combat Patrol.
Exactly, and right now you can get a deal maybe, I don't know, Christian didn't tell me.
Linked in the description, use code VON20 for 20% off. VON20.
With no spaces, and there's no space in this ad for any more magnets, because the magnets are it's magnets all the way down.
Do not eat the magnets.
This isn't Valve. Valve doesn't know how to count to 3, but the Mag Wizard does.
Ooh.
Anyway, Mag Case 3.0, go get one.
Good stuff.
I do have one. It is actually genuinely very nice.
They tessellate as well, don't they? You can like clamp them together and make a display case from them.
Oh, yes, you can make a wall out of them. I think he also actually included one of my suggestions. The rails have alternate colours on them, so it's easier to work out the trays are aligned when you put them in. I think I was actually one to suggest that. Ooh,
very good.
Unless you already had that idea and he was just humouring me. Either way,
right.
Combat Patrol is fine, but it's not great.
Yeah,
I think that's
you
the main thing.
can play a game in like an hour or two with a new player, whereas normal 40k games for the average person are now taking about 4 hours. Tournaments are not finishing their games in 2 hours and 45 minutes.
I know this isn't the topic, but bonus topic.
Yeah.
Is the game taking too long? Every single game of 40k 11th edition I've played has ended in absolutely perfect time. I've had no problems with timing. Have I lost every single one? Yes, apart from the one I won, which was on TOTS, and it was because I was a rude person. But even the ones where I'm like working out what's going on, like trying to understand it, and even if I'm losing, they still get to write round 5.
You're not talking things out.
I have a fairly simple army that I know quite well. Sorry?
You're not like talking out the last turn or scoring at the end of turn 4.
Not unless one of us has been tabled.
Right.
It generally has gone to the end. But I think it's because I'm playing an army that I know well that hasn't changed much.
Trevi said that 40% of tournament games played on the clock are running out of time, and then they're talking out the turns.
That is surprising. I would be interested to understand okay, this is the data man in me.
Yeah.
How similar is that to the start of 10th edition or the start of 9th edition? And then how similar is that to the end? Obviously, end of 10th edition is going to be quicker because people understand it.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what's causing it, because I think it's gonna be the hidden rule, right?
Some of it wasn't so much that. It was setting up the terrain at the start of every tournament. Again, takes like 10 minutes.
All right. Bonus topic. What the hell is going on outside of the UK? Because that's one thing I've heard is everyone's going like, oh, it takes so long because you have to set the terrain every game. Who are you? Who are you? You silver spoon in your mouth babies who can't set up their own terrain. UKTC, every single tournament I've been to, apart from the ones at Tabletop Tactics, you have to set up your own terrain every time. It is worse now. It is more annoying to set up the terrain now because there's a lot more things at angles.
Yeah.
But setting up the terrain has always been part of the time for, at least in the UKTC circuit. But also, you can start doing that before the round starts. When are people getting their pairings? Because you get the pairing, you go straight to your table, you start setting up before the timer starts.
As long as you
by
know
the time the timer starts,
which
you're already well
disposition
in.
your opponent has and stuff.
ITT is different because it's teams, so obviously you wait for both teams to be there. Before in UKTC was much better because you could go to the table and go, we know what game it is. If my opponent's not here, at the very least I can set it up. But even then, you just look at the list and go, okay, they're playing Recon, I'm playing this. I know what the map. Although you have to then choose the map is the problem.
Yes, well, that's where you get.
UKTC, you don't choose the map because the map is.
It's ABC.
Yeah, ABC. So you don't even need that. So you can go to your table straight away. Go, I'm playing Recon. You're playing Take and Hold. It's on B. I can start setting up before the round starts.
Reconnaissance sweep again.
And if you're not doing that, I don't know what to tell you. Again, it could be that the pairings aren't being done until it's like right there, or it could be due to obviously people have breaks, right? And lunch.
Yeah, you do need breaks between the pairings that isn't normal stuff like setting up terrain and getting out and deploying.
This does actually feed into that because if more people are getting towards the time limit, that means more people are ending at the same time, which is a problem for lunch. Because if everyone is going to lunch at the same time rather than time being staggered, it causes a queue and that takes things longer. So it is kind of one way or the other.
The 40k app does ask at the end if you actually finished your game rather than one player conceding or not finishing before the 5 round. So I hope that gives Games Workshop lots of data on games, the games out in the casual setting, and they can work more in timing.
I've not found that 11th edition has taken much longer than 10th, but again, clearly there is a pattern. And I think either the way that tournaments are organized to help with the terrain layout, if that is the problem, if it is setting up the terrain that is causing the delay, then you need a bit more time between rounds.
Or it might be more rules. What I don't want to do is add more time, because that's what some of them are doing. They're recognizing tournaments are taking longer for games. So we'll have 4 hours or 3.5 hours per game. And you'll just play 12 hours of solid Warhammer, add in breaks, and you're there for 14 hours in this room. Not everyone can book that.
Or the ITT that I went to, and they screwed up BCP so bad it took an extra hour to start round 2.
Wow.
Which was very fun.
I suggest playing smaller games, like 1,500 points. Still a good size.
Yeah, I still think it's fine. And I think once people... The one thing that does slow me down sometimes is the hidden rule. That is the one that I'm still like, okay, is it 12 or 15 because of where the wall is?
Yes.
I think once people have gotten over that, it's fine.
And line of sight and measuring are different. So you can physically have line of sight to something, be 15 inches away from a model that isn't the one you have line of sight to, and that's fine. You can shoot at the unit.
Yeah. It's a bit weird, but
yes,
it is genuinely a decent rule.
It's an okay mechanic, yeah.
The other thing I think is that people are, data sheets are getting more complex.
Yeah, there's more and more of like the kill team rules are coming into main 40k. And you've got like 4 different unit rules on each of your units. Then you add a character, and now that unit has 6 different rules to remember.
So looking at the Orc one, right? The Orc one is kind of the indicative one.
Yes.
Obviously, the boys have 3 rules. Yeah. They're not that complicated, but there are 3 of them.
And you've got to remember them all.
You've got to remember them all, but also I think it makes sense that the kind of the battle line core unit has like a load of stuff because that's like your main thing. If that's a good way of like balancing, like adding stuff to those things, obviously with the Orcs one, you can do actions in melee.
Yep.
Once per game, an extra attack
on the charge,
and lethals on the charge. That's not that complicated once you kind of get used to it. If your battle line has similar stuff to that, where it's like a kind of relatively simple stuff, that's fine. And then your other things usually have one thing. Obviously, then you start adding your characters to that, it gets a bit more complicated.
And then they have 2 more rules themselves. We had 2 characters, now there's 4 more rules to remember.
Yeah, so there is going to be that kind of stuff there. But this isn't the most insane thing in the world. And I think as well, because of how... Like, I'm not an Orc player, but even now I've kind of understood how boys work. Okay, they get those 3 things. I understand what lethal hits are. I understand what actions are. Yep. And I understand what a once per battle thing is.
Yeah, +1 to hit,
I think-
which is a war gear thing, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
with the
I
ammo
think-
runt.
And I think if the Orcs Codex is going up in points, that's less models on the board.
It is a little bit
means
going up in points.
Yeah, I think it will probably end up going up more because Gaz is a nightmare at 300 points.
Yeah, war boss is going up from 85 to 100. Knobs are going up a bit. That might be that codex. It would be nice if every faction went up in points a bit and also got better.
That is what I think that's what the rumors are, right? Like the Space Marines are going up, but being stronger, so you're gonna have less Space Marines on the board. Custodies are going up, and you're gonna have less Custodies on the board.
Well, that's going from like 5 Custodes to 3 Custodes. You don't need a mag case to carry that. You just put them in your pocket.
Well, I mean, it's going from far too many Custodies on the board to like 1. Just have 1 Custody, and just be like, here's 2,000 points, bam. Again, it's one of those things where I think, talk about complexity, if you're playing combat control, you don't need to get into that complexity. And even if you are playing 2,000 point games, you don't need to get into that complexity until you've really kind of gotten a better grasp of the game.
You can choose not to, yes.
And I think that's something where people, again, this is the internet thing of claiming the sky is falling with all these things, when realistically, if you're not someone who's played that much, there's a lot of very fundamental things that you're probably doing wrong. Like I played against Toby recently. We played a practice game where he used my army and I used the Drukhari army to practice it. And the way he played my army, despite the fact that I've played my army a lot more,
he did it totally differently.
So incredibly different, just from a fundamental level. And the way he chooses target selection, understands like the threats, understand what's an acceptable loss.
Well, the same thing happened when you played my Gene Stealer cult. I told you one tactic, which was based on scout plus enhancement plus stratagem, to do a first turn charge. Other than that, you did things very different to how I would have.
Yeah, I charged the wrong things, right? So there is still that level of stuff. Like if I give a new player Gaz and everyone goes, "Oh, Gaz is incredibly strong."
Yeah.
You might just throw Gaz the wrong way and go, Gaz is strong, but I've killed like 700 or 70 points of scouts.
Won't stay near another unit, and then I can hit him with my axe assist.
There's in fact, a very, very, very actual good example of that is the Lion, where in a tournament in back-to-back games, I got like 120'd and could not kill the Lion. The next game, Dark Angels again, I killed the Lion turn 1 because he charged JPIs and failed to charge the Lion, so the Lion was then out in the open turn 1. So it's like, that's the same model.
Yeah.
One was the most insane thing in the world. One I killed in first round.
That's the problem, like in 9th edition, where you've got characters separate to their unit. One charges, the other doesn't.
Yeah, my point being is that is the level of that's the skill level difference between someone who's good at the game and someone who's less experienced. Where if you're in combat patrol, you don't really need to worry about what's good and what's bad, because the only thing you can know for sure is that you are bad right now because you've only just started to play the game. And eventually, you will learn the game through the basics, and then you will get to the point where these kind of things start mattering. Like, give me the most broken orc list right now, I'd probably still lose.
I'm okay with meta lists for people who don't have much time to figure out the game themselves. It's just when they come up arrogantly at tournaments, like, I have the best list, therefore I'm going to win. Oh, it's so much fun to kill them with my fluffy 2 Exorcist list.
Again, that goes back to kind of the point of my previous video, which is it doesn't matter what's in your list; it matters what kind of person you are.
Yeah.
If you're a prick and you're gonna go, "Oh, look at my super fun, stupid list," then yeah, you're a prick. But you would be a prick if you came in with like a Warhound Titan, probably. But if you're someone who's just like, "Oh yeah, he deserved it for bringing a Warhound Titan." The Chrono Cup pool is very different to regular pool, so I still haven't done my as of this recording. I still haven't done my round 1. It's happening tonight. Again, if you're playing Combat Patrol, none of this is going to make any sense to you.
Doesn't matter so much.
To put it back onto the topic, Combat Patrol, it's fine. It gets you models. It gets you on the table. Does it do the best job? No. Could we do a better job? Maybe.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Don't have time, but maybe. I had an idea for a video, which is literally just like, if you want to learn the game. Like, here's like a literal like video game style tutorial, but that's a lot of work.
Yeah, I can see that. And it would probably be overwritten by someone else just showing a bit of the game.
Exactly. Like, if you are someone who wants to learn the game, my advice, find someone who already knows how to play the game.
Yes. And have
not the kind of
teach
person who's going to beat you and be like, ha ha ha, I beat you, because not them. If you find one of those people, you have my permission to kick them very hard in the face and balls.
And boobs.
Yes, all of the parts.
Well, there's other ways are there better ways to learn than that? I don't know if Kill Team is a good introduction to 40k. It has solo mode, it has movement, it has shooting.
I think from what I remember of when I played Kill Team is very complicated.
And very different.
And I think, honestly, if you want to play, your choices are going to be, is 40k going to be your first war game? In which case, once you've learned 40k, you can easily learn it. It's like D&D, right? Once you've learned D&D, other
It's
tabletop
like Latin.
RPGs,
If you learn
you
Latin.
have the understanding, right?
Yeah.
You can start to translate it. If 40k is not your first game, it's quite easy to learn because you just go, oh, that's like this in the game I know.
It's going from French to Latin.
Exactly. Like, oh, horticulture. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Horto is Latin for garden.
Good job. You know some Latin.
Caecilius est in horto.
I didn't do Latin at school.
I did a GCSE in Latin. Do you want to know what grade I got?
Was it a C?
No, it was a D.
Ah.
I did not do well. And for, that's 5 years of Latin, and I remember Caecilius est in horto, which is one of the first sentences you learn in the entirety of learning Latin.
And it wasn't on the exam.
No, it was not, because it was, pluperfect tense. You know how many tenses are in Latin? Far too many.
It's
far too many tenses in Latin. But you know what doesn't have that many tenses? The Mad Case 3.0.
I did some ancient Greek, and that has 4 tenses. Yeah, I mean, come on, Kill Team has a 2-player like couch co-op version against the AI. Can be fun, but not the same as 40k. Something else that does quite well is the White Dwarf. They gave you missions. They're not necessarily amazingly written. They sometimes give a clear advantage to the first player, but you each have the same mission. And there's a little like flavoursome rule as to why you're taking objectives, and they'll do something like, if you roll a 1, then they damage your unit because you're trying to control hazardous material. That can be an interesting way to get a hold of the game without doing dispositions. That's what I'd written, except then they've changed what the White Dwarf magazine's issue does. So the newest one has a very plain map and 5 different primary missions only, depending on your disposition, which I guess is a way to learn, but it's a less fun thing.
Yeah, that sounds like it's the next step, right? Where you go...
Could be. What it's basically done is take one of the random primary missions from the mission deck and said, okay, that is your mission, regardless of who you're facing.
Yeah. Well, that's also part of the twists, right? The twists in the deck that you get now are actually really interesting because they are literally there to like teach you certain things. Like there's one which is just like, if you don't have much terrain, use this one. It's like if you're light on terrain, use the one that means you can't shoot within 18 unless you're within 18. Like straight up. One of them is just
Mirror World,
like,
so you can swap primary missions or have the same primary mission.
Yeah, one of them is like just pick a primary mission, you both have the same, regardless of your disposition. But they basically all have a little bit of they have a note under there saying, use this one if you have this X, Y, and Z. Which is basically then that next level up to getting into that disposition zone. But the problem I think we both agree on is that's not well documented. It's not well shown. There's no guidance for that. It's very much there are these options and there is a logical way to go from A to B to C. But
there's no explanation booklet like in the starter set to say what you should do a step at a time. Yeah, they could have used the mission deck and then say, okay, ignore disposition, ignore detachments, do it this way for your 3rd game. Then maybe do a mission from the narrative deck.
All right, so let's brainstorm. How many steps do you think it would take? Not number of games. So, like, you could have multiple games in each step. How many games do you think it will take you to go from Combat Patrol to a full 2,000-point game with all the bells and whistles?
I think you want to do it in like 8.
Okay. Number I had in my head was 5. Well, I can see 8. I don't know why the number in my head was 5. Because
moving and shooting, combat separately. Then you can add on a small arena that has all 3, plus you add in cover rules.
Yeah.
How many is that? That's 3 games. Then you can add on
the first 2, but 3 games.
Yeah, then we can add on detachments and army rules. Yeah. Got something for all of your force. Maybe command point, maybe do stratagems, like small combat patrol level stratagems and enhancements there. Yep. Then you can do like 500 points of pretty much the full game, but on a small map. 6th game, you could do... Now we're going into having different primary missions, not secondary missions yet.
dispositions come in.
Yeah, do dispositions that gives you a primary mission. So you've got a primary mission against another primary mission that's different. Then you can do up to 1,000 points with pretty much everything. And then finally, 2,000 points would be the 8th game.
Yeah. And I reckon some of those could be... Don't even have to go 4 or 5 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Like, your first couple of ones could just be... Like, if it's just learning the game...
Yeah, moving and shooting, that could be until one unit is wiped out, because there's only 2 units.
Because I guess that there's 2 kind of levels to this, right? There's learning the game, how it works and how you interact with it, stratagems, dispositions, all that stuff. And then there's the actual tactical side of what is the right... It's the how do you do it, and then what is the right thing to do, like tactically. And that second one is obviously that's the majority of learning the game. Is like, yes, I know how to now move and shoot and charge and do combat.
But should I move this unit into the cover facing your entire army so I can shoot one thing one time?
Yes, and that is the...
Overextending, Paul.
The overextending part, which, again, still haven't learned how to not do properly. Sometimes I still do it, sometimes I don't. Still make a lot of mistakes. The thing I'm actually having this trouble with is it's overextending with a particular unit in the wrong place. I have to be very, very careful with target selection. If I pick the wrong targets, I die. And it's game over.
Yep,
and
that's how
the only game that I almost won at the ICT was my last one, and I did everything right, and I got greedy with 1 charge.
Oh dear!
And I gave up a heroic intervention, which was like a 9-inch heroic, and he got 12 or 11, and that got his Blazer Ultramar, those guys. It got them up the board a turn, like
they got way closer than they should have, and they were in a better position for next turn.
Had they not been there, I would have had an extra turn of scoring, which would have kept me in the game and probably won, and I would have then been able to move around and actually destroy them. That was my big mistake. But everything else I did well. And that took like 5 games at an ITT to learn how to do that. Into what I think was probably my best matchup of the ITT. Do you know how many times I went to the ITT and I went up against someone who just ignores cover, so my entire detachment rule for Shadow About Talent is gone? Great. Shadow About Talent's detachment rule is literally just 8th and Charm gives you 3 uppy downy. That's it now, because so much stuff ignores cover. And even if it doesn't, you could get cover by just being close anyway. So if they get within 12, they have to be within 12 to see you, so it doesn't matter. Shadow About Talent.
And they did used to have a Raven Guard combat patrol, but they don't at the moment because they got rid of it.
It was a interesting one. I would say it had Invictors, which I love. I miss my Invictors. I want my next list is going to have my Invictors back because they're so fun. So I'm going to try and get them back in my list. But again, this is kind of the list building stuff that you would have no idea how it works or why I like Invictors unless you did the work of building up from combat patrol. Which I think basically the advantage of combat patrol is it just gives you a list. And honestly, White Dwarf, they just go, here's some combat, here's some, are they called like armies of renown or something in Spearhead?
Well, they did just do combat patrols extra in White Dwarf.
Yeah, they should just do that more. Just like, here is a list.
Yeah.
And here's like the rules. Like that would be great. Like just have tons of those. You don't even have to read the models. Like just like
what they did last edition, which they stripped back for no massive reason.
Listen, this is a big company. They make billions. Yeah, they make decisions that are weird. You know what they should do? They should do it for battle forces as well. When you get a battle force, that should be like the next step up. But it's like your combat patrol is this list. You then have a battle force which is this list on the slightly bigger scale. Rather than because the battle forces are kind of there just to like add to collections or to start new collections. It doesn't have that kind of same support as combat patrol.
I don't know if you'd want to fight them against each other. Because it lacks the Spearhead balance stuff. They've sort of tried a little bit with the rules in Combat Patrol, but they're still not very good.
I think the balance for Combat Patrol isn't exactly... Like, it'd be nice if they were all relatively even, but then, again, if we're thinking of Combat Patrol
if we're using it as a training tool,
the game,
it's okay. It's not Spearhead because it's or Battle March because it's not a game mode in itself proper.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, again, if you're getting into the game that's brand new, are you going to understand the balance between 2 combat patrols? Probably not. You probably...
Just hopefully you won't lose all the time and think it was your fault.
Yeah. I think... Here's another thing. If you are someone who is new getting into combat patrol with someone else, and you both have a combat patrol, if you lose, just swap armies. Like, you can do that. Just swap and then see... Because one of the best ways to understand an army is to play it, and then see, like, what is it that someone does with my army, or what is it that I do with someone else's army? Like when we played the G Cults versus the Raven Guard, right? Like, I understood pretty quick what I did wrong in that game with Tacitcal and what to watch out for. Do I remember any of it? No. But at the time,
But you did at the moment.
I did in the moment.
It just hasn't landed in the long-term memory.
Yeah, I should have just not gone for those. I should have just charged straight into that one squad of JPRs right in front of me, and then just took the hopes turn one. But also, it was funny. I think it's a fine thing, Combat Patrol. It's fine. It gets people in, and then at that point, there should be more support to getting new players in, which I think there is. You say something
at
about
least online, but not from Games Workshop necessarily.
Yeah, and I think
you get some
honestly, like the best thing for any kind of game like this is getting involved with the community or with a group.
Yep.
Like,
make friends.
It's a social game. Turns out, social game means socializing. Even if you're not someone who is social, it is difficult if you are someone who is awkward or anxious. Because I am a generally I am introverted. I'm fine going and meeting people and stuff. Once I've done a tournament, I need like a day to just be like, no one ever don't deceive me for a day, please.
Hence the VTuber model.
Exactly. Although it's very, very easy to find me because it's kind of easy to find me. I'm the bald bearded guy, but if you look around a room in a 40K tournament, that covers 25% of the room. So
no, you do blend in. Yeah.
You then have to narrow it down to bald bearded guys who have a mag case. And then you go, okay, there's like the 5 or 6 of those people. And then you go, okay, which one has the Centurions? Okay, that's him. So if you ever want to go to a tournament and have people come up to you and go, oh, you Paul is bad at stuff, have a mag case, be bold, have a beard, and have some Centurions. And you too could be confused for me.
Just like Paul is sometimes confused for Paul.
It's true. Someone said they watched my channel with their daughter, and we met on the Saturday at the ITT, and on the Sunday he said that he phoned his daughter up and said, I met Paul is bad at stuff, and she said, how did you beat a cartoon character? Which is very funny.
I've done like teaching, training, coaching, we'll call it coaching, help stuff, and I am on screen like this, talking to people, and like their children have come in at one point and be like, Daddy, why are you talking to the TV, and why is the TV talking back?
Children. They're so stupid.
They can't learn Warhammer through Combat Patrol or anything else.
Unbelievable. What are we teaching kids these days? It's all AI's fault.
I learned 2nd edition stuff as a child. Well, old child.
I played some 3rd edition against my brother. We rolled dice. Whether we did it right or not, I had to know. We barely had any terrain.
As long as you had fun.
I mean, that's the thing, right? You'll find out pretty quick if the game isn't for you. Mm-hmm. And I think Combat Patrol...
that could be a good test bed. Do you
if you go into Combat Patrol and go, hey, rolling these dice and kind of understanding how this stuff moved, seems like it's going to be kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
You can continue from there.
Shame I had to pay £100 for it, but yes. Yeah,
that's the thing. Like, there needs to be... Again, I guess that's where you go to the Games Workshop store, right? You go there and they just show you the game, and then you go, would I like this? Yeah. Maybe. Or you go to a local game shop, or you get involved in the community, and then you just kind of learn that way first before making the investment. Or if you're just someone who just likes the models and wants to get into the modeling side, that's fine too.
You can do painting, you can do building, converting, all of that is good stuff.
All fun. And that's kind of the long and short of it. Combat Patrol, meh. Gets you into the game. Hey, do you want to play it? Sure. Are you going to have fun? Maybe. You'll only find out when you do it. The only way to learn is by playing, the only way to play is by beginning, and the only way to begin is by learning. I can't remember the actual quote.
The only way to end is by ending.